Recording in progress.
He started out an enlisted private in the United States Army Air Forces in 1941. By the time that he retired in 1975 with over 33 years of active duty service, he was a brigadier general in the United States Air Force. How does a private become a brigadier general? It takes determination. No pain, no gain. But it takes innovation too. 2 days before becoming the fastest human being on Earth, he fell from his horse and broke 2 ribs. Afraid that the injury would disqualify him, he entrusted his wife, Glynis, and his fellow project pilot, Jack Ridley, with his secret. On the day of the flight, unable to close the hatch on his Bell X-1, Ridley helped his fellow pilot create a lever from the broken off end of a broomstick to assist with the task. It still hurt. It hurt like hell. But the 2 pilots' quick innovation would allow him to break an important barrier. On October 14, 1947, the same way that a pilot would become a brigadier general, Captain Charles Chuck Yeager would close the hatch and put the world on notice. No pain, no gain. That's how a private becomes a brigadier general. That's how a hatch gets closed with the broken end of a broomstick. That's how we discover the boom that comes along with breaking the sound barrier. And that's how a newly created branch of service, less than 1 month old, puts the world on notice. We aren't just here to defend. We're here to innovate.
Military and the private sector, all of us working together to build a better future.
AFWERX has grown from a visionary startup to an innovative ecosystem.
Innovation is in our DNA.
Traditionally the idea is the Air Force, DoD brings money and we buy something, and that's our value proposition. I think we have a different approach here with AFWERX, where we have a partnership so that it's not several years of maturing technology, but together you're creating that market at the same time that you're creating the technology. AFWERX should be a fantastic partner to anyone who is interested in contributing to the national security of our country, of creating great things.
We can all contribute to make our Air Force better.
In our world, we don't have to have everything completely planned out to know exactly how it's going to end. Let's try it and see where it goes.
If you have an idea or a concept in industry and you want to pitch the Air Force on how that idea can impact our missions, can make national defense stronger, better, we are the place for you to come pitch your idea.
We really want to empower that entrepreneur out there to get on the AFWERX team. We want to get on the entrepreneurs team. Again, that partnership, that teamwork, that is what we are trying to create.
Showing people that they can have an effect on the missions and the people around them is probably one of our most compelling value statements.
Hello and welcome to the AFWERX virtual Ask Me Anything. Today, we are thrilled to have you join us to talk about the fantastic opportunities to become a new teammate in our phenomenal AFWERX team. Today, we will talk through big picture, the different approaches that AFWERX has to becoming an innovation arm for our entire Department of the Air Force, that is for our United States Air Force and for our United States Space Force, giving different examples of how today you can start to understand the work that AFWERX does for our nation, the work that AFWERX does to build our nation's economy, and the work that you might be able to do by becoming a teammate here with us as we go into a hiring fair here in March in order to build the AFWERX team. So I've got a fantastic group of teammates here with me today. I'm going to pass it over to them here shortly. Before I do that, though, I'm going to give a little bit of an introduction to the work that we do here in AFWERX. And it really starts with this overview, looking at the far right here of our capabilities that we have. Phenomenal Air Force and Space Force, bringing amazing things to ensure the security of our nation and the security of our partners. And that comes from an approach to capability development that you see in these three big circles that has traditionally been a particular defense industrial base, a particular group of folks in the Pentagon, and a particular acquisition process to bring those capabilities to fruition. What we see today is a changing landscape where many of the great ideas that are out there are actually coming from places outside of the Air Force, coming from non-traditional sources, and really an amazing opportunity to expand not just those capabilities for our Air Force, but also to do it in a way that starts to build our nation's economy in exciting emerging technologies like autonomy, like hypersonics, advanced logistics, artificial intelligence, and quantum computing. So the approach to doing that, if we want to get to that expanded set of capabilities that bring great things to our nation, we in AFWERX have taken an approach of a broad open door through our AF Ventures program. This is a program that has expanded out to over 1,800 small startup companies partnering with venture capital, with larger private equity, with family office capital to grow those ideas from many companies that might not have thought about working with the Department of Defense. Of those 1,800 companies, over 70% are now on contract with the Department of the Air Force, bringing forth some of the greatest technologies literally on our planet today. But those technologies, without our operators touching them, really are never going to come to life and create real capability. And so built into AFWERX, we have the team Spark. So AFWERX Spark is there to develop that expanded talent, those great folks that are on the flight line, that are operating our spacecraft, that are doing cyber operations, that are being able to work across our broad Department of the Air Force and bringing those great technologies into near-term use for our users across the Department of the Air Force in a way that creates more agility and does it at a greater affordability than some of our traditional approaches. So once we have that technology and that talent combined to think about how to use that technology, the next thing we have to do is the very important task of taking taxpayer dollars and turning those taxpayer dollars into warfighting capability. And that's our prime program, our Agility Prime program, bringing electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft into reality, bringing under our Orbital Prime program ways of cleaning up orbital debris, and then a multitude of other capabilities that are out there that we believe are essential to our competitive advantage moving forward, both for the security of our nation and for the prosperity of our nation. So today, what we want to do is give you a sense of what it is like to work on this team, the opportunities that are on this team, the phenomenal leaders that are on this team. And so without further delay, I want to jump right into that group of leaders. And the first one of those is our director of SpaceWorks. Before we go over there, we give you a little bit of an idea of what the great things that they are doing in SpaceWorks. First and foremost, I want to give you a little bit of an insight into Orbital Prime. So we'll switch over to that for a moment before I introduce Lieutenant Colonel Rock McMillan. to now introduce Lieutenant Colonel Rock McMillan. Rock is our director of SpaceWorks. He's a deputy director to AFWERX. We have one SpaceWorks and AFWERX team pulled together. Rock entered the Air Force in 2003 through the University of Southern California ROTC program and has been a program manager across Air Force Materiel Command, Pacific Air Forces, the Air Force Space Command, and the Office of the Assistant Secretary of Air Force for Acquisitions. Before going back to Los Angeles, he attended the Air Officer Commanding Master's Program in Colorado Springs, working there with the Air Force Academy. So, Rock, over to you to tell us a little bit about the great work that you're doing with SpaceWorks.
Thank you, sir. What a wonderful opportunity to be a part of the SpaceWorks program. As we stand up the Space Force organization, there's a ton of opportunity to help inform the next generation space architecture. My leadership with General Raymond, General D.T. Thompson, and Lieutenant General Gutlein are really committed to pivoting our space architecture to respond to the evolving threat. And part of that picture of informing the next generation space architecture is our SpaceWorks team, working to understand what's in the realm of the possible when it comes to pursuing dual-use commercial technology. So far, our SpaceWorks team have discovered that there's a ton of opportunity of innovative ideas that's coming out of the commercial market. And we want to continue to leverage those capabilities to bring them into the space architecture to inform the next generation architecture. But we can't do it with just our small team alone. We're looking for additional partners to join us in accomplishing that mission. Looking for partners to come and join my leadership team to work across the space enterprise to help us not only discover new technology, but help us better understand how we stitch that new technology into our overall space architecture. We're looking to bolster our Orbital Prime team. Orbital Prime is our new initiative to demonstrate on-orbit capability of active debris remediation in a 2 to 4 year time frame. And we're looking for talented program managers and engineers, both experienced and young, bright minds, to come and help us build out that program and execute and deliver on-orbit capability in a short time period. We're also looking for experienced individuals to come and help with our ventures team. Help us to understand where to drive strategic investment in pursuing dual-use commercial technologies to bring into the space architecture. Our Space Force senior leadership is dependent on the SpaceWorks as a technology arm to deliver. And we can only do so with talented individuals to join our team. So I'm excited for the next couple of months as we continue to build the SpaceWorks team. I'm excited for the individuals that's going to come to the table to want to join our team. So I look forward to the questions that we're going to have later on today. And I look forward to onboarding new team members onto the SpaceWorks team. Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Thank you, Rock. And, just to give you a little bit of a perspective of what this looks like, I talked through kind of our three core mission areas of Ventures, of Spark and Prime. And so we're looking to add, a total of about 50 folks to the AFWERX team in the March timeframe of actually providing an opportunity to onboard folks starting as early as March. Of those, we are looking for 10 to 15 of them to be very specifically focused on SpaceWorks, going across those different mission areas, but really being those advocates for space out there. So as you think about that, and as you're considering the work that you may want to do with our AFWERX team, thinking specifically, do you want to be part of that Space Force? So in order to make all the magic happen of building the AFWERX team in the way we intend to over the coming months, one person who is key to all of that is Tasha Clark. She is our senior personnel advisor for manpower and personnel in AFWERX. They're at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. We'll talk just a little bit about the distributed team that we have. But Tasha being there at Wright-Patterson has 16 years of civilian experience, looking at all approaches to human resource management. If there's an innovative way of getting new folks into our force, Tasha knows how to do it, working in the Life Cycle Management Center, working in the Air Force Research Laboratory. She's got a bachelor's degree in organizational leadership with a minor in communication. Tasha, tell us a little bit about your approach to this hiring fair and the things that folks can expect as they go through this process that you've done such a great job of putting together for everyone.
Absolutely. So thank you, sir. As they start learning a little bit about what AFWERX is about, I'm sure they're going to want to know what opportunities we have and what we are hiring for during the virtual hiring event. Those opportunities do include financial management, contracting, program and project management, some science and engineering, and the data analytics. So along with that hiring event, we want to make sure that you are aware that we are continuing to fill other positions throughout AFWERX using what we call the AFRL Job Opportunity Board. Or you can always visit the AFWERX website and submit your resume through there as well. In order to access the AFRL Job Opportunity Boards, just go out and go to the AFRL homepage, or you can just Google AFRL jobs. Indeed and LinkedIn are also linked to that AFRL Job Opportunity Board. There are many opportunities to work within AFWERX, and me and my staff, we're going to make sure that we can get you on board, get you here quickly, and make sure that you have a pleasant experience getting in. Thank you.
Tasha, thanks so much. And I want to, as you can imagine, probably many of you have many questions. I'd invite you to enter those questions. We have folks that are monitoring both on the YouTube channel as well as those who are on our Zoom link. So feel free to enter any questions that you have in both of those locations. We'll be spending a good part of the second half of this discussion, really getting into those questions, answering the specific questions you have. So please feel free to push those out across YouTube and across Zoom. And we'll get back to Tasha with an expert approach to doing the onboarding. Now, in order for us to do the type of work that we do, AFWERX is a part of the Air Force Research Laboratory. And so I want to introduce next James Barilla. He goes by SAS. SAS is a deputy director of AFWERX and a former Air Force fighter pilot and test pilot with over 3,000 hours in F-15, F-117, F-22, F-16, and 35 other aircraft. After he retired from active duty, he moved to the Air Force Research Laboratory, leading classified technology development efforts. He's got a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from the Air Force Academy, and then master's degrees from Embry-Riddle and the Air Force Institute of Technology. She also serves as the chair of the Great Lakes section of the Society of Experimental Test Pilots, and he is really key to holding our team together with the rest of the Air Force Research Laboratory team that we have the opportunity to be part of. Stas, tell us a little bit about what that team work looks like with AFRL and some of those things that might be helpful for folks as they understand this relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Glad you can join us. We're excited to hear your questions, excited to give you information. As Colonel Diller mentioned, AFWERX and SpaceWorks are also a part of the Air Force Research Laboratory. And so the Air Force Research Laboratory is headquartered at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, but it actually it spans across a whole bunch of other states as well. The mission of the research laboratory is to lead the discovery, development, and integration of warfighting technologies for our aerospace and cyberspace forces. And so AFWERX, as a part of the Air Force Research Laboratory, or AFRL, gets to integrate directly into that mission also. So when you become a part of AFWERX, you also become a part of the Air Force Research Laboratory and that 100 plus year history of generating technology across all aircraft systems that are out there today. Though some of those other directorates that we get to work with within AFRL include everything from airmen systems to directed energy to information, materials, manufacturing, sensors, munitions, space vehicles, even the Office of Scientific Research. As a AFWERX member, we tie in very, very tightly with the Air Force Research Laboratory, and as one team, we go forward to execute our mission of making sure that technology gets developed quickly and rapidly and capable out to the warfighter. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Sass, and thanks for all the great work that you do there in Dayton, where our Air Force Research Laboratory is headquartered. Now, there are many of us, I for one am living in the Washington, D.C. area, but we really have a team that is distributed literally across our Department of the Air Force, across our Department of Air Force and Space Force. And so that geographically distributed approach is really one of the keys we see for success. One of our teammates that helps keep that geographically distributed team working together, even though many of us unfortunately still haven't had quite the chance based on COVID to get together. So we do intend to create lots of opportunities where we are traveling and meeting as a team. But many folks in this team are actually working from home in a geographically distributed manner. And Phil Hahn, as the Deputy Director of AFWERX, really pulling those distributed teams together, concentrates on building out the team in those remote areas to include much of the information technology that is really one of the joys of working with AFWERX is a phenomenal information technology tool set that you have available. And we see that really as essential to our success. Phil received his bachelor's degree in electrical and computer engineering from Virginia Military Institute, has a master's degree from Johns Hopkins, and then served as the Air Force as a mission director, program manager, flight test engineer. When he transitioned from active duty, he pursued an MBA at Carnegie Mellon. And then as he joined AFWERX, spent some time just prior to that in the private sector, working in multiple different investment roles in small private equity firms like internal consultant, focused on innovation for Fortune 100 companies, continues to do that great work. Phil, tell us a little bit about that distributed team and the fantastic IT that you keep rolling.
Yeah, thank you, Colonel Diller, for that intro, and hi to everyone out that's watching. It's really been an amazing time transitioning to AFWERX and seeing just the phenomenal team that we've already been able to build as kind of you're going through and seeing the rest of the leadership team here. But we're looking for more individuals out there to continue the fight and join the team. One of the big things that we've been able to do is look at non-traditional folks to bring on. I know from what Tasha said earlier about having individuals that are in financial management and program management and engineering and the more classic roles. But we're also looking for innovators, communicators, marketers, people from the investment banking and finance world that we're able to bring on. And really, we're able to do that because of some of our information technology and our ability to be agnostic to location. Colonel Salinas, who will be up next, will go into a little bit of the hubs and the different locations that we have. But I would say the vast majority, 90+% of our team is distributed off of a DoD facility, which again allows us to communicate better across the board. A lot of our information technology that we do have and that we utilize, it just allows us a great amount of connectivity that we have at our fingertips all the time. And so it'll also provide people coming over from the private sector a little bit easier transition that you would when you were coming in, I guess, from just the DoD and the government. So looking for a whole group of set of people, and sir, back to you.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Phil. So that distributed approach is key, but we also see it very important that there is a physical presence. And so there is opportunity for travel, making sure that we're staying closely connected with that. There's also important for us to maintain this presence through our hubs. And so next up, we've got Colonel Martin Salinas, goes by Riddler. Riddler is our Chief Operating Officer at AFWERX, working day-to-day oversight of the operations, keeping key personnel and procedures for our long-term business processes built out. So it is really a class act organization. Prior to that, he was the mission design team lead for Agility Prime. He was test director, deputy commander for the Air Force Operational Test and Evaluation Center, AFWERX at Eglin Air Force Base. He served in support of Operation Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom as a senior navigator with over 2,000 hours in the venerable B-52, including 600 hours of combat flight time. He's got a Bachelor of Science degree from Texas A&M, likes to say howdy a lot, as well as a Master's of Aerospace Science from Embry-Riddle. Riddler, tell us a little bit about the hubs.
So obviously, howdy to everybody. Howdy, Colonel Diller. Thank you for that introduction. And so excited to tell everybody about our regional locations. Because, as we've mentioned, we both have the capability to intersect with industry from both a dispersed manner, but also focus in on places where those opportunities are strong. So, one of the things we think about is in order for AFWERX to really harness the right technological opportunities, strategic regional positioning is something that's on our mind. We all know there are certain key centers for regional innovation. We've always heard of like the Boston, Austin, Silicon Valleys around the U.S. I'm talking to this audience, as you mentioned, from sunny Austin, Texas, affectionately referred to as the Silicon Hills, just one of several locations we've discussed in the U.S. to include. You got to call out Dayton, Ohio, co-located near our home at Air Force Research Lab. Colonel Diller also mentioned he's located in the National Capital Region, so a strong presence in there, obviously near where a lot of our strategic leaders are focused on making some of our national decisions. Other areas in the United States may also provide promise for regional opportunity. We do have some other spaces located in different areas, but we are always on the lookout either to expand, contract, move where those opportunities align with a compelling threshold of proximity, ideally to academic resources, appropriate industrial activity, investor focus, interagency access, and a lot of times local government relationships are also very important. Again, this is important to us because investors and tech startups are the lifeblood in maintaining a technological edge. For innovation tech scouting and a lot of our relationships that we build, these hubs are important because obviously, for us, though we are dispersed, just showing up sometimes is very important, especially to signaling to our external mission partners that our innovation organization is accessible and serious about building sustainable partnerships. So that said, we at AFWERX maintain, again, the agility to intersect wherever and whenever we can to continue to move that needle with our ability to maintain that technological leadership. Thanks, Cornelia.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Riddler. Before I introduce our director of Spark, I'd like to give you a little bit of a sense of the work that Spark does. So if you can, let's go ahead and roll the tape.
My advice to you, Airmen, is to never hesitate and don't take no for an answer.
So this is definitely a very exciting part of our organization. This is the part where Spark really reaches out to engage across the spectrum of our airmen and guardians out there. And couldn't think of a better leader for that than Steve Laver, our director of Spark. As the division chief, he leads that team, unleashing airmen and guardian potential for that thriving, productive, and enduring innovation ecosystem. It's so important to our Department of the Air Force. Steve is a graduate of the Air Force Academy with a Bachelor's of Science in Aeronautical Engineering. He's had over 10 years of active duty, spent time deployed in Operation Inherent Resolve and Freedom Sentinel. Prior to that, Steve was a tactics officer in the U-28 as an aircraft commander in the 319 Special Operations Squadron down in Hurlburt, and is pilot with over 1,300 hours of those 600 hours in combat. Steve, thanks for your leadership. Please tell everyone a little bit about all the exciting things that are happening in Spark.
Yeah, thanks so much, sir. First off, no matter what division you all choose to go work for, I think it's a winning choice. But let me tell you about Spark. I really hope you will come and work with us and join our team that is relentless in their pursuit to inspire and enable those airmen and guardian innovators to unleash their potential and to drive that capability development that makes them more efficient, more effective, and improves their quality of life. And I really want to highlight that dual mission is something that I think is very unique to AFWERX and very unique to what Spark brings to the fight. We recognize that we are investing in the people behind the innovation because whatever it is they're working on today, it's probably important, but they can take those skills that they learn while executing against that innovation, actually bringing something through to the field, learning to navigate our bureaucracy and hack it where it makes sense. They can take that, and as their SA grows and they get to a higher and higher level of rank and influence within the Air Force and the Space Force, they can use those same skills to make an even bigger impact. So we are investing in the person and, oh, by the way, helping them deliver the things that are important to them to the field, right? So dual-sided mission that I think is very unique. We have three main activities that we use to get after that: connecting, developing, and supporting those airmen and guardian innovators. And there's a lot going on within that umbrella. For time, I'll just very briefly touch on them. 91 innovation cells at the Spark, or rather at the base and the wing level. We don't own a single one of them, but we help to enable, connect, encourage the creation of new cells, and make those cells that already exist better. There's a cell at every major command, right? And so they are the connective tissue between that tactical level and our operational and strategic priorities, making sure that they have the connectivity and tools to be able to be successful at their level. We bring together hundreds of industry participants and end users and customers to be able to find product market fit and solve more problems for the warfighter. We have large decentralized efforts to bring thousands of experts from across the department to solve very challenging, hairy problems, like doing thousands of SBIR evaluations in a short time frame, for example. We've got internships program, which have had hundreds of interns from AFROTC and USAFA cadets to cut their teeth on innovation before they even start their professional career. We've had over 200 fellows, so people in the Air Force and Space Force that either embed with AFWERX or embed with startups and venture firms, again, to pull that valuable experience and take back to their home units. Innovation training in a number of different formats. And finally, the program Spark Tank, which is a way to elevate those high-performing innovators at that tactical level and identify those things that have a real potential to move the needle for the Air Force and the Space Force, help to give them the support and the platform they need to make it happen. Those are many of the programs we have in our portfolio, and it's non-exhaustive. I hope you will join us. We're hiring across all three of those big efforts: connect, develop, and support our Airmen Guardians. Thanks.
Steve, thanks so much. And it's phenomenal to see what our airmen are doing out there and being able to take the great tools that we're bringing through the AFVentures program. So next up, I'd like to introduce Amanda Revy, who is the director of AFVentures. She's responsible for planning, programming, and executing over $900 million a year SBIR and SITR budget. This is our small business investment. This includes our open topic, our specific topic, a stratified program, being able to scale within a year from $50,000 up to $30 million for those companies who are really hitting it. Running pitch days, she oversees the ventures external industry and venture collaboration, connecting our private investment to DoD research and development efforts to support our airmen and guardians. Amanda received her commission from the United States Air Force Academy. She is an active participant in the Language-Enabled Airmen program for Spanish and French, and received her master's degree from Boston University. Amanda, over to you. Tell us a little bit about what it's like to engage with those 1,800 plus exciting startups that are out there.
Thank you very much, sir. And it is an absolute honor for me to be here. And thank you all for joining us this afternoon and giving a little bit of your day to find out what kind of opportunities we have in store for you. So at AFVentures, we are the investment arm for AFWERX. We are executing the SBIR and STTR program for the Department of the Air Force, which means Air Force and Space Force. So we are connecting airmen and guardians to emerging technologies and commercial industry. So when we're looking at hiring right now, building our team, really we're going after two main categories of people, program managers and technical writers. And so program manager can be such a wide range of different job sets. So really to give you a good idea of what it is that we are looking for our team, we're looking for folks to be program managers for specific topics. We're looking for program managers on the Space Force side. We're looking for program managers for pitch days. So all of these different positions, we have skill sets that are behind them. So looking for being able to network, to grow partnerships, to engage, who have excellent written and verbal skills, who are able to work independently, analytically, and work in a high volume, high visibility with high quality work outputs. So again, it'd be great to have someone onboarded with SBIR and STTR type experience, but that is absolutely not a requirement. We work a lot with Office applications and G Suite, and really that engagement, that ability to translate what airmen and guardians are going after, translating those focus areas and problem sets into what commercial partners, venture, and industry can help us towards. Those are the skill sets that we're looking for. So back over to you, sir.
Excellent. Thanks so much for that overview, Amanda. It's exciting to see the types of companies that we bring in. One sector of companies that has really driven a new part of AFWERX is the electric vertical takeoff and landing. This is our Agility Prime program. I'll give you just a little bit of an introduction of the exciting aircraft that we have been able to partner with the companies that are out there through the Agility Prime program. So let's go ahead and roll that video. Super, thanks for that. So this exciting program, a fantastic leader for this program as well. Next up, we've got Tom Maher. He is the AFWERX Prime Division Chief, where he leads the acceleration of these emerging dual-use technology markets, leveraging when we can the government resources to rapidly and affordably field these capabilities for our Department of the Air Force. Tom is a graduate of the Air Force Test Pilot School. He held positions as an operational B-52 pilot, a program manager, test and evaluation pilot for multiple different aircraft. He has a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from the Air Force Academy, 3 Master of Science degrees from George Washington University, the Air University, and from our National Defense University. Tom, tell us a little bit about the Prime programs.
Excellent. Thanks, sir. Hey, I'm going to be talking to everybody today about what the opportunities we have with the Prime Division. Really interesting stuff. You saw kind of a quick clip on Agility Prime, focusing on the eVTOL space. It's incredibly exciting to work with all these companies. So we've got over 30 different companies apply to work with us. We've got a number of them on contract and 4 of them up there actively flying. So we're looking for how do we get people that are excited and interested in transitioning some of this emerging technology over to government use, and also accelerating the commercial side. So that's what we're all about. How do we transition for AFWERX and the Department of the Air Force emerging dual-use tech? So you heard earlier about on our space side, the Orbital Prime program. Agility Prime is another dedicated one. And what we're also looking for that you'll see on some of this hiring is how do we branch out into connecting some of our other partners and small businesses in the AFWERX portfolio with the rest of the Department of the Air Force that can really leverage some of this tech. So we'll see some interest on engineering and program management type skills for autonomy and general just emerging technology across a number of space, whether that's energy, whether that's hypersonics, whether that's, like I said, the artificial intelligence and autonomy pieces. We're really excited to get some new folks on the team, excited to get some new perspectives and get some people that can help make some connections. So thanks and welcome everybody to the panel.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Wigmid. Next up, we've got Yosef Hassan. So he leads our contracting, right? Contracting, this is the real touch point with those exciting companies that are out there. These are the folks in contracting that really execute and allow dollars to flow from the taxpayer to these companies in order to create that capability. And Yosef is leading that charge as our chief of contracting for AFWERX, responsible for operations and oversight of over 1,000 contracting awards every year, annual obligations of over $500 million. He served in the lead contracting roles for organizations like F-35, the Rapid Capabilities Office, Air Force Lifecycle Management Center, leading the procurement of major weapon systems, and those really cradle-to-grave operations. He's also a graduate of Air War College and has an MBA with a concentration in finance from Wright State. Joseph, thanks for your leadership and thanks for the work you do as that direct interface to these exciting companies. Over to you, Joseph.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So for this upcoming hiring fair, contracting is soliciting up to 22 contracting positions. That includes up to 8 GS-13 contracting officer positions and up to 14 contract specialist positions. And they would fall within our SBIR and SITR contracting branch, which, as Colonel Diller said, executes 1,100 plus contracts per year and has annual obligations of $500+ million. For those of you interested in AFWERX, it does offer a lot of unique contracting opportunities. So, for example, it offers the opportunity to be involved in R&D contracting. You get exposure to a lot of tools such as commercial solutions openings, exposure to broad agency announcements, execution of both SBIR Phase 1s and SBIR Phase 2 contracts, and you also get to work with other transactions for prototypes. Secondly, AFWERX offers great opportunities to build your contracting professional network because we regularly execute sprints throughout the year where we solicit augmentees throughout the Air Force to help us award a lot of these contracts. And we also show the field how we're doing this business and spread the AFWERX word out there. And then third, we're regularly looking for ways to innovate the contracting process and streamline different ways of doing business. For example, software automation's big within AFWERX to where we don't have our contract specialists and contracting officers hand jam all of the contract data. We leverage a software team that pre-populates a lot of that data in order to save work and save time. So at the end of the day, AFWERX has a great mission. Contracting is integrally involved in working with small businesses to build the industrial base of the future. And we're excited for those of you who apply to working with you and building the team. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for what the entire contracting team does. Literally hundreds of contracts that they're looking to award here in the not so distant future. And it's really amazing the speed, the efficiency, the discipline that team has. And it's also important to have great teammates like they have in our financial management branch. So next up is Sarah French. She serves as the Chief Financial Officer for AFWERX. And within the Air Force Research Laboratory, she centrally manages $1 billion with multiple program elements across the Air Force to include planning, programming, financial reporting, analyzing program resources to build the industrial base through small business. Since beginning her career with the Air Force in 2009, Sarah has served as a financial manager, technical lead, workforce development manager, branch chief, and division chief. She carries a Bachelor of Science in Human Resource and Business Management and an MBA in Finance, both from Wright State. She does a phenomenal job, too, of building a team. Sarah, tell us a little bit about how you intend to continue building this team.
Thank you so much, sir. So as Colonel Diller mentioned, I'm the CFO for AFWERX, and we centrally manage over $1 billion across multiple program elements. So there is lots of opportunities within our financial management team to not only touch the SBIR SITR program, but other pieces of the program, such as the Spark and the Prime programs. And we are currently looking for five individuals who are in that mid-career hire range, who have 3 to 5 years progressive FM experience or compensation and benefits experience. I am a true believer in hiring character and training skill. I can teach just about anybody FM. And we have a very innovative team here. We have done a lot of automation, very similar to what my PK counterpart has done in RGK. And in comparison to our other technical directorates, we are managing approximately 50% more funds, and the volume of work is 200 to 300 times that of other directorates, and our staff is half of those directorates. So we are really a small but mighty team, and creating future leaders every day here in FM. So back over to you, sir.
Sarah, thanks so much for that team. Thanks for your leadership and continue to build out that team. As we look, those functionals are very key. We also have two more divisions who really work across in multiple different support roles. One of those works across our joint, international, and interagency as the strategic investment team. Leading that team is a fantastic leader, Colonel Wes Spurlock, Chief of Strategic Investment for AFWERX. In that role, he's responsible for identifying innovative financing approaches to help secure domestic supply chains in emerging markets critical to the United States. Before this job, Wes served as a White House fellow and was assigned to the International Development Finance Corporation and to the Domestic Policy Council. He comes from a background being first commissioned United States Air Force Academy in 2004 with a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering, went on to get an MBA from Mississippi State and a Master of Arts in Public Administration from Harvard's Kennedy School. He is a senior pilot with over 3,000 hours, 600 hours of combat time in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya. Wes, tell us a little bit about what you are doing with innovation in strategic finance.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for taking the time to listen to us today. Really looking forward to getting more innovative-minded people on the team. As we talked about, a lot of what goes into being part of an innovative organization is finding friends with diverse backgrounds and thoughts to solve hard problems, and we're doing that every day. A lot of that goes into finding other people that are solving problems in other silos and breaking down those walls and working and collaborating, and that's a lot of what we've been working on with our Strategic Capitals Initiative. We've been working across the interagency, other departments and agencies that are trying to solve the nation's hardest problems and trying to find ways to collaborate and learn the lessons that they've learned and also use what we have as feedback to help them do better in what they're doing. So we're looking forward to getting more members on the team and solving these hard problems and looking forward to having more friendly faces at AFWERX. So thanks for your time.
Excellent. Thank you, Wes. All right, last, certainly not least, is our Operations Support Organization. Representing them today is Dr. Eric Vollmer. He is the Chief of Research and Analytics at AFWERX. In this role, he explores how the U.S. Air Force and Space Force can more innovatively work with technology-based companies. Prior to joining the Department of the Air Force, so fresh off the street, as a new join to our Department of the Air Force, right after he graduated from a PhD in strategy from Stanford. He did that in innovation and entrepreneurship. Was previously a management consultant at Accenture, where he worked with Silicon Valley software and hardware companies going through digital transformation. Prior to his doctoral training, Dr. Vollmer received a Bachelor of Science in Accounting and a Master of Business Administration from Brigham Young Marriott School of Business. Eric, please tell us about some of the fantastic opportunities with your teammates there in RGO.
Thanks, Colonel Diller. Yes, the Operations Division supports and enables the entirety of AFWERX. And essentially, we provide technology solutions that our teams need, all the way from getting equipment to our personnel, to marketing, to building cloud infrastructure. And a newer element is research and analytics, where we are using the data across AFWERX to enable really data-driven defense acquisition. Another way to say that is to improve our ability to work with the right partners to access the technologies most needed by the warfighters. Currently, operations has an open position for a data scientist. We have an opportunity to create new insights from a very rich set of data, and we need your help doing this. As we build our capabilities, this data science role includes responsibilities across the data stack, including data mining, structuring data within our cloud environment, and creating pipelines for reporting and predictive analytics. I'll also add, finally, we need talent from wherever you are. I had no prior experience with government or defense. This has been an extraordinarily rewarding experience for national service. So I'm grateful to be here, and back to you, Colonel Diller.
Well, and we are very lucky to have fantastic folks brand new to the Department of the Air Force, like Dr. Vollmer. So with that, I want to transition over to some of the questions. We'll go down many of the questions you have there. We may not get to all of them. If we don't, be sure that we will push out frequently asked questions location. And as well, we will be again working in an Ask Me Anything next week, where there'll be more opportunities. So with the time we have remaining, I'm going to go over to some questions for Tasha first. I'll get a couple of these. Tasha, first one up, are you looking for a federal resume or a civilian resume? Tell us a little bit about kind of the nuts and bolts of how someone goes from hearing about this opportunity to actually being onboarded.
Absolutely, sir. So we are looking for, I would say, put every bit of experience that you have in your resume, whether it's prior military, whether it's prior contractor experience, anything that you have to put in there, because we absolutely will look at all that past experience as well. You know, we're going to try to make it a quick and painless process to bring everyone in. Probably a 1 to 2 month turnaround time, of course, depending on the situation.
Hey, thanks, Sasha. So I'm looking through. We've got some pretty awesome questions here, quite a bit pouring in. So I've seen some common ones. So I'll go ahead and throw in just some rapid fire ones real fast. So somebody asked, are there TDY and travel opportunities? And I will say absolutely. That's a lot of opportunity there. Imagine we've talked about this. We're a disparate organization spread around all around the U.S., and there are definitely opportunities there. One other person asked about remote work opportunities, and I will say yes, that is absolutely available. One more, a couple questions about what else are we hiring, not just for permanent civilians. I will say right now the focus is on our permanent party civilians. We do have contractors and interns, but those are handled on a different process. But definitely lots of pathways to AFWERX, but our focus here is on the permanent civilian. So those are, again, a couple of common questions I've just seen recently here. And this one over to Tasha one more time. What levels of experience are we expecting at this fair?
Yeah, so currently, so you'll see on the announcement that is out there that we are looking for the mid-level. However, please do not let that deter you from applying. We are going to look at all the resumes, whether it be for mid-level positions, maybe some entry-level positions that we have, and maybe even some higher. So please don't let any of that deter you. Throw your resume in there and go ahead and register so that we can pull those.
Thanks for that, Tasha. And I'm just going to follow up briefly. We'll have Phil come on with some of the other questions that are out there. From that perspective, so we are doing this hiring fair in March, but we're expecting to continue other follow-on hiring. So as you see potential opportunities, if you heard about things that you like today, please go ahead and put your resume in because we likely will be making sure that you get notified of other follow-on opportunities, potentially immediately after this hiring fair, and some of the things that might happen outside of this March hiring fair. Phil, over to you for some of the other things that you're seeing out there.
All right, sir. Yeah, I'm checking out some of the questions that are coming through. I see one that are a little in the tech realm that I'll go ahead and answer. Does AFWERX need people with an IT background and knowledge? Absolutely. As I said before, there's the back end that we have that's Google based, which again it's fairly uncommon in the DoD to have that kind of experience. So anything that's based in that, obviously web developer, and anything from data analyst, cybersecurity, all that stuff is definitely needed. And we also work closely with AFRL that also needs that as well. So again, if you don't see that specific line item, still submit your resume out to us, and we'll make sure to look at it and review it and hopefully find an opportunity. What kind of technology do we use to internally communicate? Was another question. Again, we use both our NIPRNet, which is our government the government IT system for the DoD, but then we also have which is mostly Microsoft based. So we use Microsoft Teams and Outlook primarily in that realm. But in the AFWERX side, we have an instance of Google that we use. And so that really allows us to utilize a whole bunch of features there that Google has with Google Chat and Meet and several other things. We also utilize Zoom, as you can see here, and for the folks that are out on social media as well. I guess another question here, I'll throw this out to Tasha, is what is the hiring process and timeline?
Yeah, so the hiring process, our hope is that we can start offering job offers towards the end of or mid-March. And then, the process is going to be dependent upon each position we fill, but looking at a 1 to 2 month time frame for that process. So as the resumes come in, we will start reviewing those, submitting those candidates. We'll be reaching out, contacting candidates for interview opportunities and getting those scheduled and then going from there.
All right, I'll take a couple here. Looking through, one was, hey, how would you describe the culture of AFWERX, right? And so it's, we talked about how AFWERX is a part of the Air Force Research Laboratory, but AFWERX is also kind of its own entity. Let me pick a couple words, right, when I think of what's the culture at AFWERX, right? Innovative, entrepreneurial. The neat thing about working here at AFWERX that I've found is that everybody is excited just to make things happen, to do what it takes to get the job done, to get to yes, right? To figure out what do we have to do to make things successful and be successful. Huge collaboration, huge teamwork, and really ultimately just a desire to get the mission done and to make it happen, and to not be satisfied when somebody says, no, I don't think we can do that. We go, how can we do it? What can we do? What can we change to make it better? So that's how I feel about the culture here at AFWERX. I think most people would tell you the same thing. Great group of people, and that's what we're looking for. People with that mindset of doing things differently if it needs to be done differently. To not be afraid to try, not be afraid to fail, and go out and make things happen, and do it with a smile on your face. Hey, speaking of a smile on your face, Lieutenant Colonel Maher, one question I saw there is, what type of engineering type experiences are you looking for specifically within Prime, or is there a specific type?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, we'd be open to any number of engineering backgrounds. I mentioned a little bit that we're on some focus on autonomy stuff, so that could be a number of backgrounds. On some of our eVTOL backgrounds in electrical engineering or aero on the aviation side is also of interest. So don't let a specific engineering degree maybe hold you back from applying. Send it in. We're looking for just good people that are motivated and interested in working on some of this emerging tech. Thanks, Seth.
Super. All right. So listen, I know there are a lot of questions that are left out there. We will get those wrapped up, find a way of getting them to you. Feel free to email us as well at team@afwerx.af.mil if you have some of those questions that you need follow-up on. But expect those to be posted as well over the coming week. And then there's going to be an opportunity for you to engage with our team as we continue to explain a bit more about AFWERX. In particular, one of the areas that we're interested in is creating opportunities for military spouses as we look at this new world of work where it's possible to work in this distributed manner. For our military members that move so often, that creates a pretty notable hardship for the military spouses. And so from that perspective, definitely looking at opportunities to help build out our military family as part of the overall hiring. To speak with us about that is the spouse of our Chief of Staff of the Air Force, Mrs. Brown. So she'll be on with us next week as we get together from 1:30 to 3 p.m. next Thursday to answer more of your questions, to explain a little bit more of what this might look like in this distributed workforce, to hear her perspective on how this can really start to bolster military families. And then you'll hear more from other folks on our team, others leaders in our Air Force, about the opportunities that are out there, able to answer more of your questions as we're there. So really, thanks so much for your time. Excited to see the fantastic opportunities of teaming with you as you think about AFWERX. making sure that you understand some of these approaches, new approaches that Tasha is really bringing in to innovate the way we are doing hiring in the federal government. So it's exciting to get to really be part of an innovation as we're bringing on more innovative teammates. And you really part of that. As we said, this hiring fair is in March, is our near-term look. We expect to continue to hire. We will be planning to bring on interns over the summer as well. So there will be a process in case you maybe not a graduate yet, opportunities for interns, a great opportunity to learn a little bit more about AFWERX through that process. So please keep an eye out. Please make sure that you go to AFWERX.com. If you haven't already, put your information in there so that we can make sure that we get all of the new information out to you and keep you abreast of the hiring approach, the timeline, and your chance to join our AFWERX team. With that, have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for joining us.